Yeah, so I'll basically talk about Elon Musk's management style in general. So recently we have noticed the increasing influence he has over US federal agencies and other administrative functions. So he has now gained control over some key government agencies through Dodge. So one of the news coming up, key news is that some few young employees are involved in the decision making in Dodge, and one individual, I think, because of some remarks he made earlier, he was fired also. But that is besides the point. That is not what I'm discussing. So he basically seems to be handling the working of Doge similar to how he handles his business, for example, X or Twitter. So when he took over Twitter, he started with rapid firing, saying he wants to increase efficiency. So initially, people had arguments on both the sides saying that you really do not need that many employees to run Twitter, and on the other hand, there were also points saying that because he is just mass laying of people on mass, X or Twitter is doomed to fail. So, in my opinion, I don't really see much of a change in how Twitter is running from an experience point of view. Maybe there seems to be some change in the type of content being allowed now and few other features, but overall, it works pretty much the same as it used to. But saying that only 60 to 70% of the initial Twitter workforce is maintaining this, maybe his way of execution was right, that efficiently that we can run or manage this company efficiently. But the opinion still exists that the experience of Twitter is deteriorated. Although I do not see in which way, because I have not really used Twitter before or even now to really give an opinion of the experience, has it improved or deteriorated. But there is also the argument that the profit of X seems to be going down compared to when he initially took it over. Although we don't really have concrete numbers, I think now, because it's a private, it's gone private now. So he seems to be taking similar approach with running Doge. I did not do any detailed analysis of all the different things he has done so far. So this opinion is from a very high level point of view. It's not really even an opinion. It's like more of a question. So recently, keep reading about some agency called USAID. So he seems to be tweeting. I think it is an agency which allocates funds to international, some international whatever tasks or whatever. And he is basically tweeting about some of the funds, where some of the funds are being allocated. I don't really recall any particular example, but he pointed out some amounts, some hefty amounts were allocated to some things that are not so serious. So I don't really have a point to make here, but I'm more curious about how effective his methods of making the government lean is going to be, because his method seems to be quite disruptive. But overall, I'm just curious how effective it will be, because if it does make the government run more efficiently and more responsibly, then maybe something like that should happen in India as well, because it is a quite a well-known fact about how bureaucratic our government is. So basically, that was my opinion regarding this point.
So uh, I even I don't know how X or Twitter is doing revenue-wise, but since you have mentioned that they have been the workforce is reduced by, means it's 60 to 70% of the original capacity, as you have mentioned.
Mhm.
but the website, the service is still working. And also, I don't know from the survey, from the user experience side, I don't know how much changes has been there, but because I think I have been using it. I'm not as frequent of a user, but I have still used it for the last 5 years or so, every now and then. So experience-wise, even I couldn't see much of a difference. But yes, one thing I have observed is now they have, from the monetization perspective, things are a bit different, I think so. Because first now, I think so for some kind of labels or verifications, I think so you might have to pay or something.
Yeah, the blue check mark. I think,
Blue check.
yes.
For some kind of things you have to pay, and now there's some this kind of this golden color, golden check is also there. Some, I don't know what does that mean, but there's some
I
different
think
kinds of
now
things.
you can even subscribe to accounts, I think, where you can
Yes,
pay
yes.
them directly.
So now the initial complaint about Twitter before its purchase by Elon Musk was that it's not well monetized, or it's not as profitable or as revenue generating as it could be. I mean, it's a platform, it's a social media platform, but from monetization perspective, it's not being harnessed well enough as compared to other platforms like YouTube or Instagram. So that was the main logic behind this, or the main arguments that people were saying, or the analysts in this area. And apart from this censorship and everything, yes, that's another angle. But from a business perspective, uh, this was the argument that it could be made, if certain changes are made, it could be turned into something that creates more revenue and profit. And from that perspective, I could see that yes, now uh, as you said, there are different kinds of options for subscriptions, payments for blue ticks and such kind of ticks.
And I think he has also made the Twitter API paid. So earlier, I think it was free.
Yes, because I've experienced it
Yeah.
firsthand. Yes, recently, as I mentioned, that I'm trying to just develop this application, and for that
Mm.
I needed tweets, Twitter tweets, and it was so difficult. First of all, I couldn't. I mean, if I try hard enough, I'll be able to do this. But from the initial 1 or 2 days, I tried to figure it out. I couldn't do much about it, and so there's a lot of workarounds. And all of the old tutorials that were there. I mean, if you look at tutorials 4 or 5 years ago about natural language processing, sentiment analysis, most of it was about taking tweets from Twitter and then creating NLP kind of programs. But right now, it's really not possible. And actually, that's what inspired me to look for some other platforms where I could find some other kinds of, or maybe I could find related content. And that made me go to Blue Sky. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, but I have not used it.
Yeah. Now, just for the sake of this one, I had to sign up for that and so on. So it's very much different. It's fundamentally very much different. And for example, there is no I don't the process in which you can fetch the tweets or whatever it's called there. Let's call just tweets. So if
Post
we
or post.
post, yes, post would be a more generic word. So the way you fetch posts from that site is quite different. I mean, and there's no limit or anything. It's completely free, I think so. And I have done it in that way. And yes, and it's technically the technology the technology behind this is quite different from other social media platforms. So I don't know I haven't looked into the in-depth details about it, but yes, I am curious about it, and maybe in the future I will look into it and talk about it. But yes, it's quite different. And one interesting thing about it is that anyone can create this. What's the term? The client app. I think so. That's what it's called. I mean, the things that you can fetch the tweet from there, fetch the post from there, and create your own front end for that application.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think something similar, Reddit also used a lot because there were a lot of Reddit clients.
Okay.
Through their API, they could fetch the post, but the front end is different.
Okay.
So I guess Blue Sky also allows it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And as far as the monetization technique is there, what's the monetization strategy of Blue Sky? I don't know how it makes money, but it's fundamentally different. But at the same time, means I think the basic, if you just sign up, the user interface is quite similar to Twitter. Means uh, for the for someone who doesn't use the social media very much, they won't be able to make differentiate between these two. It's the structure is very same to Twitter, so or X. So yes, from user point, it means from user experience point of view, like you had mentioned, I don't think so. There is much change from this, from visually as far as I can tell. But maybe in terms of content moderation and such kind of things, maybe there are some changes. I don't know. And what else did you say about go, its method of governance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, yes, I remember when I think it was late 2022 when this deal took place about Elon Musk buying Twitter. So at that time, I think so. I've mentioned it previously to one of my professors in our class. He keeps telling every now and then, whenever he has a class, he keeps telling that anytime now, Twitter is going to go bankrupt or it's going to be closed down. And in general, he wasn't much of a Elon Musk fan. He didn't like Elon Musk much, so he kept telling that is Twitter is going to go bankrupt any day now. But it's still there. It's still going on. In fact, it has come up with different monetization techniques and so on. But yes, the truth is, are they actually making money? That I don't know. That needs to be looked into. But historically, if you see Elon Musk record as a whole, every company that he is a part of is successful. So one way or other, he he knows how to get things done. So that's one thing. He knows how to get things done, but the methods, people may not like it. So that's the issue here. And so yes, now since now he's also working, I don't know in what capacity, but on the government side as well. So yes, we should just wait and watch what happens now, what kind of
Yeah.
he does.